This conference will now be recorded.
Hello all, good morning. Welcome back. Yeah, today we are going to start Kubernetes. Let us start the session. So can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Yeah, since still yesterday we have covered all the services, whatever services are available on Docker. We covered all the services, right? So Docker is basically in real environments we use for microservices. Okay, we install, configure. We are maintaining some digital sites in our project. We are handling some digital sites using Docker. So Docker is fine. It is working without any issues. But in Docker, clustering part is not there. Clustering part is there, but it is very challenging. So clustering part is very challenging, right? And also Kubernetes is advanced to Docker. Okay, so Kubernetes is having very advanced features. Fine. So in digital sites, normally the people who are like project teams who are using that microservices, they are migrating to Kubernetes because Kubernetes is having very good features, self-healing capabilities, okay, and also clustering part, auto healing, okay. So these are the things available with Kubernetes. That is why. So whatever project, like what are the digital sites, okay, like Amazon shopping site, Flipkart, Reliance Trends. So like this, the project teams are migrating to Kubernetes. Fine. So in this session, we'll try to understand why Kubernetes, what is Kubernetes, features of Kubernetes, Kubernetes versus Docker, Kubernetes architecture, Kubernetes use cases, okay, and some Kubernetes. So all these things we are going to cover. Fine. Why Kubernetes? Why we need Kubernetes? Okay. Yeah. First one is the better infrastructure. So better infrastructure means, so for example, in traditional way, when we set up any server, when we set up any architecture, server architecture, okay. So normally, so we'll configure some network switches, routers, right? So in local data centers, I'm talking about. So when we talk about cloud environment, we create one VPC for our customized network for implementing security. So inside of that, we'll create some gateways, right? Subnets. Inside of the subnets, so we create EC2 instances, right? So the same way in Kubernetes also, when we talk about Kubernetes, it is a better infrastructure. So in Kubernetes, we create pods. So pod is nothing but it is a group of containers. Okay. So normally Docker containers are advanced virtual machines. So Docker containers are advanced virtual machines. Pods are advanced to containers. Okay. So pod is nothing but it is a group of containers. Fine. So when we create pods, okay, so it will have number of containers, and also Kubernetes always maintain self-healing. Okay, fine. So better infrastructure, first one is. Second one is better management through modularity. Yeah, we can manage whatever pods are available, whatever containers are available inside of the pods. We can manage easily, and we can track easily whatever containers are available, whatever pods are available. Okay. And also deploying and updating softwares at a scale. Okay, we can scale up for deployments and updating softwares. Okay, so we can scale up. So whatever pods we created in the Kubernetes, whatever pods, whatever containers we create in the Kubernetes, inside of that, if you want to deploy any application, or else if you want to update any software, okay, so at scale you can perform that. Next one is laying the foundation for cloud native apps. What is this? So basically Kubernetes will support native cloud apps. Means not only AWS, Kubernetes will support Azure, GCP, Ali Cloud, Oracle Cloud, right? So IBM Cloud, DigitalOcean, okay, Salesforce, whatever clouds are there. So it will support all the cloud platforms, right? Kubernetes is a Google product, right? So it will support all the platforms. So these are the benefits of Kubernetes. And what is Kubernetes? So Kubernetes is a container management system developed by Google. So Kubernetes is a container management system developed by Google, and Kubernetes is an open source portable system for automatic container deployment and management. Kubernetes eliminates many of the manual processes. So when the Kubernetes came into the market, okay, what are the manual processes we are performing in real time? Those are eliminated. So when the project team integrated Kubernetes, using Kubernetes, we can automate all the activities. Okay, and involved in deploying and scaling containerized applications. Containerized applications means, so normally when we talk about microservices, okay, so let us say Flipkart. In Flipkart, we have microservices, right? So we have so many tabs. So in Flipkart, for example, so this is Flipkart. So in Flipkart, we have, yeah, these are the tabs available, right? So different tabs are available. So in Docker, we discussed about loosely coupled and tightly coupled. What is that? Anyone having an idea? Anyone remember that? Loosely coupled, tightly coupled. What is that? What is loosely coupled? What is tightly coupled? So loosely coupled means, so all the components will work together. For example, one component is down. For example, Jenkins server is there. If any one component is down in the Jenkins server, entire application will be down. That is loosely coupled. What is tightly coupled?
You can devise separately.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. So all the components will work individual, right? Means, for example, these are the components, for example, these are the microservices. If any one component is down, application will not be down, right? So only that particular component will be affected, for example. So in this home, we have so many tabs are there, right? See here. In the home tab, we have different things. Files, appliance, something is there. Tools, bedrooms, instead of that, beds, for example, beds. See here. So these are the different beds available inside of the home tab, right? Fine. So these are the individual components. Okay. So each component will will be deployed on each container. So each component is each microservice. So each microservice is deployed on single container. So for example, if any container, one container is down, if any one container is down, what will happen in loosely tightly coupled? Only that particular microservice will be down. So only this component will be down. Other components will not be affected, right? That is tightly coupled. Loosely coupled means one component is fail, entire application will be fail. So our Docker is integrated with, Docker is implemented in tightly coupled. Kubernetes also implemented in tightly coupled, right? So all the components will work individual. So one component is fail, application will not be affected, right? Fine. And also, yeah. So these microservices are integrated in pods. Microservices are deployed on containers. Containers are integrated with pods, right? So we'll discuss. We'll go deep dive. Fine. Yeah. Next one is features of Kubernetes. What are the features available, right? So first one is automates various manual processes and control server hosting and launching. So currently, whatever activities we are doing, like deployments, code movements, code merging, okay, and upgrades, application upgrades. So all these things, it's moved to Kubernetes, right? When Kubernetes came into the market, all automated various manual processes and other activities moved to automated way, right? And next one is, so manages containers, offers security, networking, and storage services, right? So in Kubernetes, so security is very important here. So security means if any one pod is down, if any one container is down, if any one node is down, so Kubernetes is having self-healing capabilities. Okay. So in Kubernetes master will have controller manager. One component is there, controller manager. I'll show you that. So further slides, I'll show you that. So controller manager will maintain all these things. It will monitor every time. It will monitor if any node is down, pod is down, container is down. So automatically it will check it and it will recreate. So security, and also, so when we submit manifest file to the API server. So what is API server? I explain. Okay. So API server is a component which is available in Kubernetes master. Okay. So okay, manifest file means some script. Okay, that I'll explain later. Yeah, security is very important here. Security is very important. Kubernetes is maintaining very good security, right? And networking and storage. So why we require storage? Here, why we require storage service? Why we require networking? So when we configure Kubernetes cluster, okay, so in the cluster we'll configure Kubernetes master as well as Kubernetes nodes, right? So in node component, node server will have one component, okay. So kubeproxy one component will be there in the node server that will always check the networking. So as like the node is connected to master or not, it will check always. And also what is storage? So what is storage? So storage means every pod will have one storage. Every pod will have one storage. So we have one concept in Kubernetes: stateful applications, stateless applications. Okay, one concept is there. So in stateful application, stateless means if any deployment is there, for example, if any application is running on the pod, okay, if any application is running on the pod, so if the pod is corrupted, so application will be corrupted. That is stateless application. When we configure stateful application, okay, if the pod is corrupted, automatically it will recreate the pod using the storage service. So we'll attach some storage to stateful application in the pod. Okay, what is pod, what is stateful, what is stateless? So we understand going forward. Okay. Next one is it monitors and continuously checks the health of nodes and containers. Yes. So in Kubernetes master, as we discussed, we'll have one controller manager that always monitors and check the health of nodes and containers. Next one is automates various manual processes and controls server hosting and launching. The same feature is available here also. Next one is automatic rollback for changes that go wrong. Automatic rollbacks. What is rollback? What is rollback? Anyone have any idea? So rollback and ఏంటండి?
Any process cancel.
Yeah. Fine. So normally when we are performing any activity in real time, so for example, we are performing some patching activity or else some deployment activity. So in local, traditional way, I'm talking about traditional way. So while performing patching activity or deployment activity, so the application team, they will request us to take some snapshot, right? So while we request snapshot, the deployment is failed or anything goes wrong. Again, they will request us to revert this snapshot. Revert means rollback. So we'll revert back to original state, right? So that rollbacks, whatever rollbacks we are doing, for that rollback, we need to plan before going to any activity. So for example, if you are performing an activity, first we need to raise some change request. So we change one change is required. Change request, CR, we'll call it a CR. In that CR, we have to mention all these things, rollback plan, okay, justifications. So when we create the change request, that change request will go to change manager. That change manager will check that request. Okay, so proper justification, proper rollback plan is there, then only he will approve. Otherwise, he will reject that change request. Okay, so before going to any activity, first we need to prepare the rollback plan. Then only, so management will approve for the activity, right? Yeah. So automatic rollbacks means Kubernetes. So when we deploy any application, when we perform any activity, if anything goes wrong, so automatic rollbacks can help you to roll back the activity. Okay, so we can check the one checkbox, so that what will happen automatically, if anything goes wrong, by single click it will be rollback, right? Next one. So Kubernetes mounts and adds a storage system to run applications. See here. So this storage will be mounted to applications in the pod. Okay, so whenever anything happened or if you want to recreate anything, applications, if you want to retrieve anything, okay, using the storages, application will be recreated. So when anything happened, so by the time applications will be recreated using storage. So we'll attach some storage to pods in the Kubernetes. Okay, as we discussed, stateless applications, stateful applications. Stateless applications not required storage. Stateful application required storage, right? Next one, difference between Kubernetes and Docker. Kubernetes versus Docker. Yeah, parameter, Docker, Kubernetes. So developed by Docker INC. Kubernetes developed by Google. Okay, Kubernetes is a Google product. So for Google, there is a competitor. Google is having some competitor, that is OpenShift. Okay, OpenShift, Kubernetes, both are same functionality wise. OpenShift is the Linux product, Red Hat product. So Kubernetes is Google product. Yeah, year released. Docker released in 2013. Okay, immediately Kubernetes implemented something. Instead of this, they add something and they released in 2014. So Docker is not having, Docker is having all the features, but in Docker, if you want to configure cluster, okay, it is big challenge. But whereas Kubernetes, we can, by single command, we can configure cluster. Okay. Next one, scaling. In Docker, there is no auto scaling. So in Kubernetes, we have auto scaling. We know auto scaling. What auto scaling? What is auto scaling, right? So we discussed in AWS. The same way here also we have auto scaling. It will scale up applications. Next one is cluster setup. Yeah, as we discussed, set up the cluster is challenging in Docker. So it is a big challenge creating cluster, maintaining cluster in Docker. So setting up cluster is simple. In Kubernetes, setting up cluster is very simple. So with a single command, we can create the cluster and we can configure the cluster. Next one is installation. Docker installation is easy and faster, right? Kubernetes installation is a bit complicated and time consuming. So installation part is a bit complicated in Kubernetes. Next one is the load balancing. Does auto load balancing in Docker? Manually configure your load balancing settings in Kubernetes. So node support. Docker will support 2000 plus nodes. Kubernetes supports up to 5000 nodes. And the container limit. Docker will support 95,000 containers. So here we have limited to 3 lakh containers. In Kubernetes, we can create 3 lakh containers. And also slave, we can call it as worker in Docker. We'll call it as nodes in Kubernetes. And also companies using. So these are the major companies that are using Docker and Kubernetes. So yeah, Spotify and these are the eBay, Twitter, etc. So many companies are there. So major companies which are there, yeah, they have deployed and they are maintaining. These are the major companies. Okay. And next one is architecture of Kubernetes. This is very important. So what are the components available in Kubernetes? What are the devices? Okay, so we'll try to understand. Yeah, hardware component, nodes. So basically, what is node? Node is the smallest unit of hardware in Kubernetes. It is a representation of a single machine in the cluster. So node is a machine. Node is a server. Okay. Node is a physical machine in a data center or virtual machine hosted on a cloud provider like Google Cloud Platform, AWS, or Azure. Okay. These are the node configurations. Next one is hardware component cluster. What is cluster? So cluster is nothing but it is a group of computer, right? So Kubernetes does not work with individual nodes. Kubernetes does not work with individual nodes. Means single node we cannot run Kubernetes, right? It works with the cluster as a whole, right? So without a cluster, Kubernetes will not run. Nodes combine their resources to form a powerful machine known as cluster. So these are the nodes, different nodes form as a group to provide high performance of your Kubernetes cluster. Next one is hardware component persistent volumes. Okay, so as we discussed, so to this cluster, to this pods, we connect some storage. So see here, every node, every pod will connect some storage, 2 TB, 250 GB, 1 TB. So as per the requirement, we configure some storage. So which is nothing but persistent volume. Next one is software component, container. So container is a box. We know what is container. It is like a box. Okay, in that box we'll have binary files, image files, okay, storage data, whatever files you want to save, you can save. You can deploy, right? You can integrate. So containers are used everywhere and they create as a self-contained environment for the execution of programs. The programs are bounded up to their single file, right? Next one is pods. So this blue color one is pod, circle one. Inside of the pods, we have 3 containers. So pod is nothing but it is a group of containers. Okay, a pod represents a group of 1 or more application containers. So bundled up together and are highly scalable, right? Scalability. So why we require this many containers in the pod? For scaling, scalability. Scalability means when we deploy any application, so we don't deploy application on single container. We deploy on multiple containers. So that if any one container is down, application will not be down, right? So that is why we will deploy multiple containers on single pod. So in Kubernetes, we'll have pod IP. Every pod will have one IP, but every container will have port number. Container will not have any IP address. So when you want to ping container, what will happen? It will ping to pod. It will not ping to container. It will directly ping to pod, right? Next one is a software component deployment. So first deployment. For example, if you want to deploy any application, how we deploy that? So these are the different pods available: pod 1, pod 2, pod 3, right? So normally when we deploy applications, so we don't deploy on single pod or single container. How we deploy that application? For example, so these are the 3 pods. So when we deploy application, so on C1, C3, C5, that application will be deployed. Means what will happen here? If anything goes on with the C1, application will be accessed from C3. If any issue with the C3, application will be available from the C5. So if any pod is corrupted, still our application will be available from the other pods, right? Next one is the ingress. Ingress means it is a inbound traffic. Okay, so using ingress we can control the inbound traffic. Yeah, so this is the architecture of Kubernetes. So in Kubernetes we'll have Kubernetes master, Kubernetes nodes. So in master we have different components, node also having different components. We'll go one by one. So this is master server, these are the node servers. Fine. So first one is master. So inside of the master we have 5 components, 4 components. One is cluster, controller, scheduler, API server, right? Basically, what is master server? The master node is the most vital component responsible for Kubernetes architecture. It is the central controlling unit of Kubernetes and manages workload and communications across the clusters, right? And the master node has various components, each having its process. They are, first one is etcd. Etcd means it is a cluster store, so we can call it as etcd cluster store. Okay, first component is etcd. It is a cluster store. And second one is controller manager. So this is controller manager. Third one is scheduler. Fourth one is API server. Okay. So cluster, first one is the cluster store, etcd. Okay, what is etcd? So normally in, like, when we discuss about Linux, when we work on Linux, so we'll find one etc folder, right? /etc. What is that etc? What are the things available in that? What is etc?
It is to manage configuration files.
Yeah, exactly. So in Linux we have etc folder. So etc folder will have all the configuration files, right? The same way in Kubernetes also. So Kubernetes is having etcd. So in etcd all the configurations will be saved. Okay, all the cluster configuration. node configuration, pod configuration. Okay, so all the configurations will be saved in etcd. The component stores the configuration details and essential values. It communicates with all other components to receive the commands and work in order to perform an action. It also manages network rules and post forwarding activities. Okay, so etcd is the main component of the master server. Okay, so it will maintain all the configurations. Next one is the controller manager. We can call it as controller manager. It is responsible for most of the controllers and performs a task. It is a daemon which runs in continuous loop and is responsible for collecting, sending information to API server. Okay, so controller manager is also a good component. It will maintain all the controls. Okay, if any pod is down, node is down, any any cluster is down, all these things will be checked by controller manager. Okay, the key controllers handle nodes, endpoints, etc. Fine. Next one is scheduler. Scheduler is nothing but it will distribute the load equally on node servers. So normally in Linux, when we talk about scheduler, we can say so job scheduler, cron jobs, right? But here scheduler is it will distribute the equal load on node servers in the cluster. So we have cluster, right, instead of the Kubernetes. So in cluster, scheduler will distribute the equal load on node servers. Next one is API server. API server is a front end server. Kubernetes uses API server to perform all operations on the cluster. So it is a central management entity that receives all REST requests for modifications, serving as a front end to the cluster. So when we submit any script to the API server, first it will check and it will move to scheduler. Scheduler will distribute load on node servers. Okay. Yeah, next one is nodes. So worker, slave, nodes, all these are same. Okay. Yeah, node servers. So in node, first component is pod. So a pod is one or more containers controlled as a single application. So it encapsulates application containers, storage resources, a unique network ID and other configuration on how to run the containers, right? Next one is a Docker. So without Docker, Kubernetes will not work, right? So without Docker containers, Kubernetes will not work. So Kubernetes is required Docker. So Docker, we know Docker. What is Docker? One of the basic requirement of node is Docker. It helps in running the applications in an isolated but lightweight operating environment. Docker is lightweight operating environment. It runs the configured pods. Okay, it is responsible for pulling down and running container from Docker images. Next component is Kubelet. It is responsible for managing pods and their containers. So it deals with pods specifications which are defined in YAML or JSON format. So in Kubernetes, we use YAML script. So YAML script where we used in the previous tools.
Ansible.
Yeah. So in Ansible, we use YAML script, right? So in Kubernetes also we use YAML script, but we don't call it as YAML. We'll call it as manifest file. Okay. So YAML script only we use in Kubernetes. It takes the pod specifications and checks whether the pods are running healthy or not. Okay. So Kubelet will check always pods are running properly or not. Next one is the Kubernetes proxy. It will work in network level. Okay, so it is a proxy service which runs in each node and helps in making services are available to the external host. So every node in the cluster runs a simple network proxy. Okay, network level, this proxy service will be work. Okay, so this is Kubernetes GUI. So normally in real time we don't use GUI. So this is Kubernetes GUI dashboard. Okay, so while working on Kubernetes, normally some companies, startup companies, they use GUI, but in real time, most of the companies they use CLI to perform any activities. Most of the companies they use CLI only. We also use CLI. In our test lab, we use CLI. So this is the manifest file. This is YAML script. Okay, as we discussed, this is YAML script. So API version means some version, application version, kind deployment, metadata, so name, application name, hello world. Okay, spec means specifications. Okay, replicas one. Replica means containers. Replica means so application replicas. Okay, and template, metadata, labels. If you want to give, you can give this. So application name, hello world. This is another spec. Okay, containers, container name. So when we deploy application, so one container will be created inside of the pod. So container name is hello world server. So image, some image also required. This is hello world image. Okay, so version 0.01 ports. So containers will work based on port, right? So in Kubernetes, containers will not have any IP address. They will work based on port numbers only. Ports. So this is the container port. Okay, 8080. So every container will have their own ports, individual ports, customized ports. Fine. So this is another application. This is the see here version 1 service. Okay, load balancer, type load balancer. Next one is whenever you want to deploy any application, this is the command kubectl apply -i-f deployment.yml. So for example, if you want to deploy the application, okay, so this is the command to deploy the application. So this is the created application created. Next one is if you want to check pods, whatever pods are running inside of your cluster. So this is the command kubectl get pods. And next one is when we create deployment. So by the time we need to create one service. Okay, if you want to check that service, okay, this is the command kubectl get svc or service, both are same. Okay, so this is the service. Yeah, companies using Kubernetes. Major companies, what are the companies they are using Kubernetes? So these are the major companies Kubernetes is using. These are the companies currently using. Next one, important terminologies in Kubernetes. Cluster. Cluster means it is a set of machines, physical or virtual, on which applications are managed and run. Second one is node. They are the worker machine that runs containerized applications and other workloads. Third one is pod. It is a group of containers that are deployed together on the same host. Next one is replication controllers. It is used to define pod lifecycle rather than it create pods directly. Selector. What is selector? Selector expression matches labels to filter specific resources. Yeah, in this Kubernetes we have labels. Labels are very important. We have one concept, label concept also we have. So we go deep dive. So labels, they are the key value pairs that are attached to objects such as pods. Okay, pod labels. So the key value pairs can filter, organize, and perform operations on resources. Yeah. Next one, replica sets, annotation, name, volume. A volume is a directory with data, so which is accessible to a container. Okay, so namespaces, services, these are the things. These are very important terminologies, important terms available in Kubernetes. Okay, so when we talk about this, we'll go deep dive. So these are the things available in Kubernetes. So we will set up Kubernetes on Monday. Okay, first we'll set up the cluster. Once we set up the cluster, so we'll go some deployments. So we'll take some sample applications and deploy on Kubernetes cluster. So which is very important. Deployments are very important. So in real time, how we deploy applications, how we maintain application, how to check pods, how to troubleshoot pods. We'll correct some pods and we'll troubleshoot. Okay, I'll show you how to correct pods, how to destroy the pods and recreate the pods, how to destroy the containers, recreate the containers, how to troubleshoot that. Troubleshooting part also we'll have one session. Okay, we can troubleshoot the pods and containers. Okay, fine. So these are the things. Yeah, cluster setup will take some time. Okay, it will take 45 minutes nearly to set up cluster. So that is why we'll work on Monday. We'll build the cluster on Monday. Okay, you can practice Docker, whatever services we covered in Docker, networking services and other services. Okay, that will help you in Kubernetes. Any questions, anyone?
Sir, could you please provide the documents in Docker like?
Docker documents, right? Yeah, I'll provide today.
Yeah, yeah. Ansible event documents are not shared, sir.
Okay, Ansible also not provided. You got Jenkins documents?
No, sir. DevOps tools under we not shared in document.
All right, I'll share today all the documentation till Docker. I'll share today, so I'll provide you all the documents.
So also, you said you would share the Docker commands.
Yeah, along with Docker documents, so I'll share the commands also.
So one more thing, actually, so can we pull a customized Docker image from a Docker Hub and modify?
Customized image you can pull into Docker. Local,
Yeah.
you can pull into local, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you can pull into local and you can run as a container. You can run as a container and you can modify something. So normally in real time, once we push to Docker Hub, so developers, they will reuse. If they need anything, additional applications, again we generate one more container. That is the actual process. So we don't need to take back and we don't need to edit that.
Okay. So we don't pull back the custom images.
Yeah.
And one more thing, while this pushing the image to Docker Hub, we should give the name the way you shown, right? I mean, Docker Hub name.
You can give customized name. Hyphen name. I mean, you can give the name.
I mean, the name should.
Go ahead.
And I mean, the image name. I mean, the name of the image should have all the packages that image contains.
Yeah, we need to provide meaningful.
Meaningful. Okay. Is there another way? Is there another way a developer can get to know what does that image have?
Yeah.
For example, if install there are like several packages, maybe Java, Git, Ansible, and other packages. So sometimes it may not be possible to give such a lengthy name. So is there any other way, or does a developer or any other person can get to know what that particular image does have?
Okay. Yeah. Basically, we give some naming convention. Okay. So the name we can give, for example, if you have 10 applications deployed on that, right? In that case, we can't give, right, lengthy name. So that is why you can update some description. Okay, I'll give you one command. so that we can update the description also. I'll give you the comments so that you can check in that. So description also can provide for the customized image. Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So we stop here for today. So you can practice Docker services so that Monday onwards we'll start working on Kubernetes. We build cluster first, then we deploy some applications, sample applications I prepared. Okay. After that, one by one we'll go some activities, different activities we have in Kubernetes. Okay. So namespaces, okay, and different activities we have, different deployments, right? So and RBAC activities, different things are there. So we'll go one by one. Okay. So we stop here for today. If you have any questions on Docker, you can post in the group so that we'll discuss. Okay. Fine. Thank you all.